They called it the Silent Service, romantic name for what was essentially volunteer imprisonment in a steel sewer pipe. While the Army got foxholes and the Navy got bunks, submariners got a shared coffin that smelled like a gin sock, marinated in diesel fuel and despair. These were not warriors. They were underwater mole people who had forgotten what sunlight looked like and considered fresh air a distant memory. Here is a fun fact. Submarine duty was all volunteer. That is right. People actually chose this. While others were drafted into trenches and cockpits, these magnificent madmen raised their hands and said, "You know what? I would like to fight the war from inside a toilet that can implode. Tonight, you are one of them." A fresh-faced volunteer who thinks submarines are cool, like something out of Jules Verne. You are about to discover that 20,000 leagues under the sea left out the parts about relieving yourself in a bucket while depth charges try to turn your home into an accordion. So take a deep breath, enjoy it. It is the last fresh air you will taste for the next 2 months. Where we are going, oxygen is rationed. Personal space is a myth. And the only thing deeper than the ocean is your regret for volunteering. Ready? Of course you are not. Nobody ever was. Let us dive. Congratulations, sailor. You volunteered for submarine duty. While others were pulled into the fight by draft guards, you stepped forward willingly, seeking adventure in the most claustrophobic corner of the war. You actually said, "Yes, I would like to fight the war," from inside a pressurized sausage. The recruiting posters were inspirational, showing brave men conquering the depths with stoic faces. They did not show those same men curled up in dim corners, whispering home through closed eyes, longing for sky and wind. You stand there now, your boots firm on the dock, staring at your new home. She gleams in the sun, but there is nothing soft in her design. All angles, all metal. She is beautiful in the way a weapon is beautiful pure function. No comfort. 300 feet long, 27 feet wide. That is all. That is your entire world now. A fleet submarine, state-of-the-art by 1943 standards, which means it usually works and only occasionally forgets not to kill its crew. The hatch is your first true warning. It is not a door, but a hole. A circular opening you must squeeze through with awkward effort, dragging your seabed along. Everything you own fits in that bag, and spoiler alert, it is not much. Down the ladder you go, and immediately the scent hits you. It is not simply a smell, but a presence thick and intimate, like being hugged by rot. Diesel and sweat mix with mold, battery acid, old food, cigarette smoke, and the heavy weight of 80 men crammed into a place built for far fewer. It clings to your clothes, your skin, your soul. You want to escape, but someone is already coming down the ladder behind you. There is no going back now. "Welcome aboard, rookie," says a voice. You turn to see a man whose skin looks like he has not seen the sun in decades. He is Peterson, and he has the submarine pallor pale, yellow, almost translucent. He leads you through your new life with the casual indifference of someone who has stopped noticing the absurdity. "I will show you your rack," he says. You imagine a bunk. Small, perhaps, but private. Instead, he points to a strip of canvas slung between 2 torpedo tubes. You blink. Yes, those torpedoes. 3,000 pounds of explosive power. You will be sleeping between them. Hot bunking, Peterson explains. 3 men, 2 bunks. You sleep in shifts. Johnson is in there now. You will crawl in when he gets up in 8 hours. Try not to wake him. He has a temper. The space is impossibly narrow. You are not claustrophobic, you told yourself. That was before you entered a pipe filled with other men. Overhead, pipes and wires twist like vines in a steel jungle. Everything is painted white or gray. The effect is less cloud, more morgue. You have to angle your body sideways to pass someone in the hall, if it can be called that. The passage is 26 inches wide. Your shoulders brush both sides. If you are broad, you will never walk straight again. You ask where to store your things. Peterson laughs, a dry sound without humor. You get a locker the size of a shoebox. The rest stays in your sea bag, which disappears into some hidden crevice of the boat. Maybe you will find it again. Maybe not. The tour goes on. You visit the control room, where serious men speak softly and monitor gauges, as though the boat itself listens. You are shown the engine room, hotter than some ovens, where temperatures soar and the smell of oil and heat blend. Then comes the galley, which is also the movie theater, also the surgery. Every inch of space wears several hats, because there is simply not enough room for single-purpose design. You notice the air. It is thick, used, worn out. It clings to your lungs. Peterson says you will get used to it. You will not. The crew watches you with suspicion. You are new, and new means risk. Every man here has memorized the thousands of things that must happen to keep the boat alive. You have not. You are a danger, a walking mistake, a potential cause of doom. They know it. You feel it. Even the boat knows it. She creaks around you like a living thing, metal groaning under strain. Peterson shows you your station, a single valve. You will turn it when ordered. If you turn it wrong, you flood. If you hesitate, you sink. No pressure. You meet your division chief. He looks carved from stone and old coffee. He hands you a schedule. 4 hours on, 4 hours off. No weekends, no holidays. Just an endless loop of duty, silence, and the hum of unseen oceans. Your first meal surprises you. The mess deck only fits a dozen at once. The food for now is decent. Real meat, vegetables, even dessert. Someone mutters to enjoy at week 3 will bring powdered eggs and gray meat. There is no day or night on a submarine. Only the white light of overhead fluorescents that never change. There is no weather, no wind, just pressure. Pressure in your ears, in your lungs, in your thoughts. You climb into Johnson's bunk. It is still warm, still damp. The scent of another man seeps into the fabric. The boat rocks gently while docked. Tomorrow she will dive, and you will vanish into the deep, into silence, into the life of the silent service, into a place where dreams feel heavy and the world above becomes nothing more than memory. Tomorrow she'll dive, and you'll leave the world of air and sun behind. For now you lie between 2 torpedoes, breathing recycled air, listening to 79 other men snore, pass gas, and mutter in their sleep. Welcome aboard, sailor. Welcome to your new home. Welcome to hell with a periscope. The lights snap on. Wait, they were never truly off. The fluorescent glare hums steadily overhead, burning into your eyelids, whether open or shut. Electricity is life down here, and darkness is a threat. Darkness is danger. What wakes you is not a gentle alarm or kind word. It is Thompson's foot squarely planted on your face. He is climbing down from the rack above you, and in submarine etiquette, any surface becomes a step. Your face is fair game. Morning does not exist in any real sense. Your watch reads 5:30, but it could just as easily be noon or midnight on the surface. Time is not measured by sunlight. It is dictated by the duty roster. You were granted 3 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. 15 minutes short, because Johnson needed his rack early. You will not get those minutes back. They are gone. Forever. You swing out of your rack. Or rather, you attempt a delicate extraction from your narrow sliver of space. It is a full-body contortion, part yoga, part acrobatics. The clearance between your body and the nearby torpedo is less than 18 inches. You must ease yourself out gently to avoid waking Martinez, who lies sleeping beneath you, and to avoid smacking your skull against the crisscross of pipes that snake above. The deck greets you with cold steel, slick with condensation. Everything sweats in this floating tube walls, ceilings, people. Moisture is ever present. It drips, it pools, it lingers on your skin. You slip. Your hand instinctively grabs a nearby valve for balance. The chief sees it, of course. Your first yell of the day comes sharp and swift. That valve was not yours to touch. Lesson learned. Now to the head. Not the bathroom, the head. One toilet for every 40 men. You do not want to do the math. It is too grim. The line coils through the narrow corridor, half-dressed men, waiting with haunted eyes and clenched jaws, all silently praying for their turn. While you wait, Peterson stands beside you and decides it is the perfect moment to give a tutorial on how to operate the submarine toilet. It is not simple. It is not intuitive. It is not even remotely like a normal toilet. It is a mechanical labyrinth with more steps than launching a weapon. First, check the sea pressure gauge. If the sub is too deep, pressure must be built in the sanitary tank. Open valve, but never B, will flood the boat. Pump a handle exactly 10 times. Open the bowl flapper. Relieve yourself. Close it again. Then open valve C while depressing lever D, pump again, this time 20 strokes, to increase pressure. Open valve C slowly. Too fast, and you will take a direct blast to the face from sea-watering waste. Release the pressure and close everything in the precise reverse order. It is not a joke. This is the actual process. Get it wrong in best case, you are drenched in sewage. Worst case, you drown 80 men. No pressure. Your turn arrives. The head is barely a closet. The walls close in. Barely enough room to turn. The toilet is an assembly of pipes and rusted instruction plates. The metal is slick and cool beneath your hands. You follow the directions with trembling focus, whispering prayers to whatever deity oversees the biological needs of sailors. Miraculously, you succeed. You do your business without flooding the submarine. That, in this world, is a triumph. Next comes hygiene. One sink, one. Shared by 80 men. Water is rationed to 1 gallon per day per man for drinking, washing, brushing teeth, and anything else. Most choose hydration over cleanliness. You lean forward and splash your face with tepid liquid that smells like oil and tastes faintly of metal and old despair. Your skin already feels greasy, coated in engine fumes and sweat. It will never feel clean again. You scrub your teeth with paste that tastes artificial, mixed with diesel fumes that linger in your mouth. You spit cautiously, not wasting a drop. Behind you stands a man wearing nothing but socks, scratching himself in a daze. You do not comment. There is nothing to say. Showers? That is a fantasy reserved for luxury liners and surface ships. Here, cleanliness is a ritual of compromise. Once a week, if fortune smiles, you receive a basin bath, a bucket, a rag, a small ration of lukewarm water. You focus on the essentials: underarms, groin, face, and call it sufficient. After the first week, everyone begins to smell the same. It is a communal scent, unpleasant but strangely familiar. You get dressed. Another struggle. Your tiny locker is barely large enough to hold your crumpled uniform. Everything is damp. The humidity ensures that nothing dries completely. Your clothes feel like they were pulled from a swamp, because in many ways, they were. You pull them on and steel yourself for the day. The morning briefing takes place in the control room, where officers go through the motions. Today's schedule is a replica of yesterday's. There are no surprises, no breaks in the rhythm, just the routine. Work, watch, sleep, repeat. The captain announces that you will be diving after breakfast. Your stomach tightens. You trained for this, yes, but the training pool never tried to crush you from all sides. Breakfast is served in rounds. You are low in the hierarchy, so you eat last. Standing, of course. Powdered eggs that taste like rubber soaked in memory. Coffee that burns your throat and your regrets. Toast that is limp but edible. This is the good food. Soon it will run out. When it does, you will miss these bland, lukewarm comforts with aching nostalgia. You finish eating. You wash your tray in water. It is as gray as your mood. Then you return to your station, stepping quietly through the narrow veins of the submarine. Around you, 79 men do the same. The boat vibrates softly with life. Everything is too close. Every breath shared, every sound amplified. You are not alone, yet never truly seen. The diving alarm has not sounded yet, but it will. You are still on the surface, still within the reach of air and sun and space. You can hear the waves brushing against the hull. Somewhere above you, the sun shines over a sky that still remembers freedom. Somewhere, people breathe without thinking about it. They stretch their arms. They walk through doorways wider than their shoulders. They use toilets without instruction manuals. They live in space and silence. Here, everything has consequence. Everything must be earned. But this is your world now. Welcome to another beautiful morning in your underwater sewer pipe. Time to earn that hazard pay by existing in a space that actively wants to kill you. The best part, you volunteered for this. The absolute best part, in about 5 minutes, when that diving alarm sounds, you are going to miss these moments on the surface. Like a lost lover, because it is all downhill from here, literally. Take a deep breath. Taste it. That is fear. Diesel fumes and the collective body odor of 80 men who have not properly bathed in weeks. Welcome to submarine air quality, where every breath is a struggle, and oxygen is more tightly rationed than your grandmother's wartime sugar. Here is something the recruiting posters forgot to mention. Submarines do not make their own air. Shocking, right? When you are underwater, you are living on whatever oxygen was trapped when the hatch closed, plus whatever the air scrubbers can recycle. It is like being locked in a garage with a running car, except the car is a diesel engine, and the garage is trying to crush you. The boat has carbon dioxide scrubbers, fancy word for machines that maybe keep you from suffocating. They use chemicals to pull CO2 from the air, but they are about as reliable as a politician's promise. When they work, you are breathing recycled farts. When they do not, you are slowly poisoning yourself with your own exhalations. Watch the candle, Peterson tells you, pointing to a lit candle in the control room. It is not for ambience. When the flame starts to flicker and die, that is your air quality warning system. High tech, right? If a candle cannot survive, neither can you. The flame dances lower by the hour. A visual countdown to suffocation. Smoking is not merely permitted, it is encouraged. That may seem counterintuitive when the very air is precious, but nicotine keeps men calm, and calm men do not panic or reach for hatches at depth. The boat becomes a fumigation chamber. By the third day submerged, you cannot see across the control room through the thick haze. Your eyes water constantly. Your throat feels raw, as though you have been gargling gravel. The smell is impossible to ignore. It is layered, like a perfume composed by some deranged chemist. The base note is diesel fuel that soaks into everything. The middle note is the stench of unwashed bodies and decaying feet. The top note is cigarettes, grease from the galley, and occasional toilet misfires. Accents include battery acid, hydraulic fluid, and desperate sweat. The air is no longer just something you breathe. It becomes a taste. It coats your tongue like a film of oil. Everything you eat takes on its flavor. That coffee? Diesel infused. That bread? Diesel with hints of mold. That last apple from 2 weeks ago? Diesel with vague memories of fruit. Eventually, your taste buds surrender and accept this as their new reality. The engines are the boat's greatest thieves of oxygen. These massive diesel beasts that propel the submarine on the surface consume more air than the entire crew combined. When they run, they create a vacuum so powerful it makes your ears pop. The boat inhales through the main induction valve like a man gasping for breath after drowning. But when that valve closes for diving, The oxygen clock begins ticking again. Battery charging is its own brand of misery. The same batteries that power everything below the waves emit hydrogen gas while charging. And hydrogen plus a spark equals a fatal explosion. That means charging must happen while ventilating, which means surfacing. And surfacing means exposure. The captain has to choose breathe or hide. Hiding usually wins. You learn to guard every breath like treasure. Move slowly. Sleep when you can. Do not strain or exert unless it is absolutely necessary. That sense of urgency tugging at your nerves, let it go. Everything must happen at a slower pace in the submarine service. Not because of laziness, but because oxygen is too precious. Even fast thinking becomes a luxury. The gauge now reads 18% oxygen. Normal surface air is 21%. A tiny difference on paper. A yawning gulf in reality. Thinking becomes a task. Your brain feels as though it is wading through syrup. That fog is not just fatigue, it is hypoxia. Oxygen-starved brain cells struggle to connect. Calculations feel impossible. Simple routines become puzzles. A wrench drops. In fresh air, it would hardly register. Down here, it sounds like a church bell. Every ear turns. Tension fills the silence. Fuses are short. Tempers ignite without warning. Two men begin arguing over whose turn it is to wind the chronometer. It escalates quickly into fists. The chief separates them with the threat of additional watch duty. No one has the energy to protest. The deeper you go, the heavier the air feels. Not in any physical sense, the pressure inside remains stable. But psychologically, your mind cannot ignore the hundreds of feet of ocean above. It knows you are inside a bubble, and bubbles burst. At night, or what passes for night, beneath unblinking fluorescent lights, you lie in your rack listening to 79 others pulling at the same pool of air. The snoring is relentless. Sleep apnea is so common, it might as well be listed in the manual. Men stop breathing for long seconds, then jolt awake with gasping breaths like whales breaching the surface. Alarming elsewhere, routine here. The worst is silent running. When enemy destroyers loom overhead, depth charges hang in the water like waiting wolves. Engines shut down. Air systems go still. Scrubbers silenced. 80 men reduce themselves to quiet, desperate things. Every breath feels like a betrayal. The air goes stale quickly. The candle in the control room sputters. Your high-tech warning system flickers out. Emergency oxygen candles are brought forward. These are chemical tubes that burn to release breathable air. They also release heat, which turns the already stifling compartments into ovens. Pick your poison, suffocate, or roast. Hours pass. The air thickens. Men begin to faint. The corpsman unlocks the tiny oxygen cylinders. Each man gets a few breaths, just enough to keep the lights on behind their eyes. Finally, the captain calls it. The boat ascends. The depth gauge unwinds like salvation. 300 feet. 200. 100. 50. Surface. The hatch opens. Lookouts scramble to be first into the light. Air pours in cool, fresh, untouched by diesel or sweat. You have never known air could taste this good. You gulp it, greedy for life, and feel the fog lift from your brain. Your chest expands like it had forgotten how. But you do not get to linger. Dawn approaches. Aircraft scour the horizon for targets like yours. The hatch seals again. One last breath of clean sky, and you are back in the tomb. The engines switch to electric. The hum deepens. The air is trapped once more. Someone lights a cigarette. The smoke joins the familiar aroma of bodies, metal, and fuel. You breathe it in because that is what remains. Your body will adapt. Or it will fail. Your mind will accept the submarine's rules. Or it will break trying. Welcome to submarine warfare, where the enemy is not only foreign navies, but the very air itself. Each breath is borrowed. Each dive is a roll of the dice. You think you would last a day down here? You are already suffocating. And none of this even involves combat. Not yet. The true nightmare has not even begun. Dive. Dive. The klaxon pierces the atmosphere like a banshee's scream. Every muscle freezes. This is it. Your first crash dive. Training never captured this blend of urgency and dread. Men who moments ago now race to their stations with the grim pace of those who know the cost of hesitation. Green board, someone shouts. The report means all hull openings are closed, hopefully. One malfunctioning light could mean death. The lookouts tumble down the hatch. Seawater pours behind them. The last man slams the hatch shut and locks it down. The boat is sealed. No turning back. The bow planes engage. The boat pitches forward at a steep, terrifying angle. Anything unsecured becomes a weapon. Coffee mugs take flight. Forgotten tools become hazards bouncing through the compartments. You cling to a pipe, bracing for the descent. The depth gauge spins. 50 feet, 75, 100. The pressure begins to sing its song creaks, groans, muffled cracks. The steel hull speaks its discomfort. The deeper you go, the louder the symphony becomes. Something shifts that should not. You ignore it. Rig for depth charge attack, comes the call. Wonderful. It becomes worse. All loose equipment is secured. Light bulbs are removed to prevent shattering. You help tie down anything that might fly when the world begins shaking, and it will shake. Depth charges are not precision weapons. They do not need to hit you. Water does not compress. It carries force directly. When the explosion comes, it will be as if the sea itself has punched your lungs. Like sitting inside a bell while giants strike it with hammers. The boat levels out at 250 feet. Test depth is 300. Beyond that, no one really wants to know. The hull groans with age and strain. Tiny rivulets of water bleed from seams. Normal, Peterson says, dabbing sweat from his brow. She always leaks a little at depth. A little. That trickle is the Pacific Ocean, reaching through inches of steel to remind you where you are. Silent running. The worst order. Everything becomes still. Everything becomes silent. Main motors slow to dead slow. All auxiliary machinery is secured. The boat drifts, quiet and breathless, on momentum and prayer. No voices, no movement unless essential. 80 men dissolve into the steel, trying to become invisible inside a hollow shell suspended in a hostile sea. The ventilation has stopped. Within moments, the air thickens and the temperature climbs. Sweat begins to pour from everyone, pooling at feet, soaking uniforms, turning the deck into a slick mirror of heat and stress. But you do not move. You cannot move. Above you, destroyers sweep the water with hydrophones, their underwater ears attuned to the slightest sound. A wrench drop might echo like a gunshot through the ocean. So you wait, you sweat, you listen, and you pray to gods you are no longer sure exist. A sharp ping slices the silence. Active sonar. A searching finger stabbing through the deep. The sound pushes through your body like an invisible blade. Ping. Closer. Then you hear it. The churn of destroyer screws above. Twin propellers pounding the sea. Each beat a countdown to the unknown. Then comes the splash. Everyone recognizes that sound. Depth charges entering the water. You begin to count. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 seconds per 100 feet. A calculation that is suddenly more urgent than any you ever did in school. The charges are set to detonate at depth. Their math must be better than yours. Wham! The first charge detonates. Not close, but close enough. The entire boat lurches, throwing you sideways like a toy. Everything rings. The hull. Your teeth. Your bones. Cork insulation snows down from the ceiling. Despite precautions, Light fixtures shatter. Someone whimpers in the dark. Then again, wham! Closer. The boat bucks violently. You crash against a torpedo tube. Something gives with a sound like money being torn. Water sprays from new wounds in the hull. Lights flicker, die, then return, dim and flickering. Emergency lighting turns everything blood red. The captain calls, all ahead full. Right full rudder. Take her deep. It is a gamble. Noise versus death. The boat pivots hard, creaking like a dying beast. The depth gauge spins. 275. 300, 325. You pass test depth, and every additional foot feels like defiance against nature itself. The hull groans in agony. The metal speaks now, creaking and crackling like breaking ice. A rivet fires across the room. The stream of water it leaves could peel flesh. Damage control responds with urgency. Mattresses, wedges, anything to slow the incoming ocean. 350 feet. The boat vibrates, shudders constantly. This is crush depth, where numbers turn from engineering to prophecy. The pressure gauge climbs. 155 pounds per square inch. That is the weight pushing on every square inch of steel. And still, the boat holds, though she flexes like something alive and terrified. Depth charges rumble again, but farther off. The destroyers have lost you. This time, the captain orders an ascent. Carefully, cautiously. Any faster, and you risk breach. Any slower, and something may rupture. As the pressure eases, the hull groans in relief. Leaks slow. The boat reclaims its shape. Ventilation whirs back to life. The diesel-scented air moves again. Men slump, exhausted, at their posts. Someone vomits quietly in a corner. Feared as that. The lights return to full brightness, revealing faces too pale, too hollow. Everyone looks years older. Damage reports begin arriving. A dozen leaks. Gyro offline. Radio antenna damaged. One air compressor seized. Nothing fatal, but the boat bleeds. Just like you. You are a little more cracked, a little less invincible. Peterson, grinning like a man on the edge, claps you on the shoulder. Not bad for your first time. Only 12 charges. His record is 47. 3 hours of depth charging. 6 men dead from chlorine gas when the batteries ruptured. 47? You cannot fathom surviving another one, let alone dozens. But this is submarine warfare. A deadly game of hide and seek where the loser becomes a footnote. You are beginning to understand the 1,000-yard stare of the old-timers. The way they look through bulkheads, through the walls, straight into the black pressure waiting outside. The boat creeps away in silence, running deep. Soon, she will surface to charge batteries. And breathe if nothing finds her first. If the hull holds, if you help with cleanup. Glass, fluids, fear scattered across the deck. The boat absorbed the blow. They say she is tough. You heard her scream. You felt her bend. Every boat has a limit. You hope you are not aboard when she finds hers. Your hands tremble. Peterson says it will pass. You know it will not. You will always shake every time you hear that sound. Dive, dive, dive. Even in bed, far from the sea, you will hear the steel trying not to die. Welcome to submarine warfare. The ocean is your enemy now, and every dive could be your last. Still think you would volunteer? Too late. You are already here, already submerged with 79 others who once thought this would be an adventure. Adventure, that is one word for it. Let us speak now of food. A lighter topic, perhaps. Let us speak of submarine cuisine, where fresh becomes fantasy, and flavor is a memory lost to time. The galley is no sanctuary. It is a narrow closet, a cradle of creativity, where one overworked man, always called Cookie, turns rot into ritual. On day one, you dine like royalty. Fresh vegetables. Actual meat. Real bread that bends and springs instead of crumbling. Cookie serves scrambled eggs with only a faint petroleum aftertaste. This is the golden age. It will last precisely 2 weeks. Refrigeration is more a rumor than a reality. The cooler is just the least hot part of a 95-degree boat. Vegetables surrender quickly. Lettuce liquefies. Tomatoes melt. Meat adopts unsettling shades. Cookie wages war on spoilage, cutting, trimming, hiding the truth beneath seasoning and confidence. By week 3, fresh food is a fable. Everything is canned. Meat, beans, fruit cocktail syrupy, sweet, depressing. Labels fall off. Every meal becomes a gamble. Is it peaches? Is it ham? Is it despair in aluminum? Spin the can, say a prayer. The bread situation deserves its own tale. Real bread molds in days. Enter canned bread, a cylinder of sadness, dense, heavy, metallic. Cookie tries toasting it. It becomes a hard, bitter insult to memory. Still, by week 4, you would beg for even that. Food is everywhere. Beneath bunks, behind panels. Potatoes in showers. Showers? Not anymore. Flour bags nestle beside torpedoes. Early on, the boat is packed with supplies. You climb over it. By week 5, the clutter clears not from organization, but because you have eaten your way to breathing space. Meals repeat like clockwork. Monday, beans and cornbread. Tuesday, Essos chipped beef drowning in white glue. Wednesday, beans again, renamed for morale. Thursday, meat mystery. Friday, bean encore. Saturday and Sunday, if morale is high, perhaps a treat peaches, if Cookie wins the duel with the can opener. Water is rationed like gold. Sometimes it is fresh. Sometimes distilled seawater with a whisper of rust and lubricant. When the still breaks, and it does, Cookie improvises. That soup? It might be 1/3 seawater. Everything shuts down. Main motors to dead slow. All auxiliary machinery secured. The boat becomes a ghost drifting on momentum and prayer. No talking. No moving unless essential. 80 men trying to become invisible while trapped in a steel tube. The ventilation stops. Within minutes, the temperature climbs. The air thickens. Sweat pours off everyone, pooling on the deck, making everything slick. But you do not move. Cannot move. Those destroyers above have hydrophones. Underwater ears that can hear a wrench drop at 500 yards. So you sit, sweat, and pray to gods you are no longer sure exist. Ping. Active sonar. They are hunting. The sound moves through you like a physical force. Ping. Closer. You can hear the destroyer's screws churring overhead. Twin propellers beating the water like a drummer counting down to your execution. The sound grows louder, louder. Directly overhead, now splash. Everyone knows that sound. Depth charges hitting the water. You count seconds. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. At 3 seconds per 100 feet, you calculate how deep they have set the charges. Math becomes very important when it determines how dead you are about to be. Wham! The first one goes off. Not close, but close enough. The boat lurches sideways, like it has been punched by something divine. Everything rings. The hull, your teeth, your bones. Cork insulation rains from the overhead. Light fixtures shatter despite precautions. In the darkness, someone whimpers. Wham! Wham! Closer. The boat rolls violently. You are thrown against the torpedo tube, adding new bruises to your collection. Something breaks with an expensive sound. Water sprays from a dozen new leaks. The lights flicker, die, then return dimmer. Emergency lighting casts everything in hellish red. All ahead. Full right, full rudder. Take her deep. The captain is gambling. Speed means noise, but staying put means death. The boat groans as she turns, tilting at insane angles. The depth gauge keeps spinning. 275, 300, 325. You pass test depth now. Every foot is borrowed time. The hull makes sounds you have never heard. Creaking gives way to crackling, like ice breaking. A rivet shoots across the compartment like a bullet. The stream of water following it could cut flesh. Damage control teams attack leaks with wedges, mattresses, anything to slow the ocean's invasion. 350 feet. The boat shudders constantly. This is crush depth. This is where physics stops being theoretical and starts being terminal. The pressure gauge reads 155 pounds per square inch. That is 155 pounds trying to crush every square inch of hull. The steel flexes inward visibly. You can see the boat being squeezed like a tube of toothpaste. More depth charges, but distant now. The destroyers have lost you this time. The captain orders the boat back to 200 feet. The ascent is careful, controlled. Too fast, and you approach the surface. Too slow, and something might give way. The hull pops and groans in relief as the pressure eases. Those leaks slow to trickles. The boat remembers its shape, secure from silent running. The ventilation kicks back on. Beautiful diesel-scented air flows through the boat. Men slump at their stations. Someone vomits quietly in a corner. Fear does that. The lights come back to full brightness, revealing pale faces and wide eyes. Everyone has aged 5 years and 30 minutes. Damage reports filter in. Dozen minor leaks. Gyro compass knocked offline. Radio antenna damaged. Core air compressor seized. Nothing fatal, but the boat is wounded. Just like everyone aboard, you are a little more broken, a little less convinced of your immortality. Peterson grins at you with manic cheer. Not bad for your first depth charging. Only took 12. My record 47 in one attack. 3 hours of it. Lost 6 men to chlorine gas when the batteries cracked. 47? You cannot imagine surviving one more, let alone 46. But that is submarine warfare. Hide and seek where losing means implosion. You are beginning to understand why submariners have that look. That 1,000-yard stare that sees through bulkheads into the crushing black beyond. The boat creeps away from the area, running silent and deep. In a few hours, she will surface to charge batteries and refresh air. If nothing finds you first, if the hull holds, if, you help clean up the mess. Broken glass, spilled liquids, dignity scattered everywhere. The boat took it well. They say she is tough, but you felt her flex, heard her scream. Every boat has a breaking point. You just hope you are not aboard when she finds hers. Your hands will not stop shaking. Adrenaline. Peterson says it will pass, but you know better. Those hands will shake every time you hear dive, dive, dive. They will shake when you are 80, safe in bed, remembering the sound of steel, trying not to die. Welcome to submarine warfare, where the ocean itself is your enemy, and every dive might be your last. Still think you would volunteer for this? Too late now. You are 300 feet down with 79 other fools who thought underwater combat sounded like adventure. Adventure, right? That is one word for it. Let us talk about submarine cuisine, where fresh is a memory, edible is negotiable, and everything tastes like diesel fuel with a side of despair. The galley, and that term is used loosely, is a closet-sized space where one cook performs daily miracles, turning garbage into slightly warm garbage. Day 1 of patrol, you are living like kings. Fresh vegetables, real meat, actual bread that bends instead of shattering. The cook, a sweaty genius named Cookie, they are all named Cookie, serves up scrambled eggs that only taste slightly of petroleum. This is the golden age. It lasts exactly 2 weeks. Submarines have no real refrigeration. The cooler is just the coolest part of the boat, which at 95 degrees is not cooling anything. Fresh food rots quickly in the tropical heat. That lettuce turns to slime. The tomatoes liquefy. The meat develops colors it should never have. Cookie performs triage, cutting away the worst parts, serving the rest, pretending you do not notice. By week 3, fresh food is a fairy tale. Now everything is canned goods. Beans, meat, fruit cocktail that is 90% syrup, 10% sadness. Labels fall off in the humidity, so meals become Russian roulette. Is it peaches? Is it Spam? Is it that weird canned bread that tastes like sweetened cardboard? Open and pray. The bread situation deserves mention. Real bread molds in days. The solution is canned bread. Yes, bread in a can. It comes out shaped like a cylinder, dense as a brick, tasting of tin and broken dreams. Cookie tries toasting it. This somehow makes it worse. Now it is hard and tastes like metal. By week 4, even this is a luxury. Storage is everywhere and nowhere. Food is crammed into every space. Cases of cans under bunks. Sacks of potatoes in the shower. What shower? Flour bags in the torpedo room. Walk through the boat in those first days, and you are climbing over groceries. As patrol continues, paths clear. Not because of organization, but because you are eating your way to mobility. The menu rotation is a joke. Monday, beans and cornbread. Tuesday, SOS chipped beef on toast. Wednesday, beans again, but with different names. Thursday, mystery meat swimming in mystery gravy. Friday, beans. Weekend, fancy beans. Maybe some canned peaches if Cookie is generous and the can opener works. Water for cooking is rationed. Sometimes it is fresh. Sometimes it is distilled from seawater, giving everything a subtle briny taste mixed with mechanical lubricant. The still breaks down often, leaving Cookie to perform miracles with whatever liquid is available. That soup might be 30% actual seawater. The salt helps hide other flavors. Coffee is religion. Cookie brews it strong enough to patch hole breaches. It tastes like battery acid filtered through a gin sock, but it is hot, caffeinated, and masks everything else. Men will fight over the last cup. Truly fight. 2 torpedo men once received write-ups after a coffee brawl, left them both bloody and neither caffeinated. Mealtimes are shifts. Officers eat first, sitting like civilized humans. Chiefs next. Then the rest of us animals crowd in, eating standing up, shoveling food before the next shift boots us out. 20 minutes max. Conversation is, pass the salt? And what is this? The answer is always, shut up and eat it. The diesel contamination is everywhere. The boat's fuel tanks wrap around the hull. Diesel permeates through steel into food stores into your soul. That canned peach? Diesel peach? That powdered milk? Diesel cream. Your taste buds adapt, or they die. Most choose the latter. By week 5, even the canned goods are low. Now, Cookie becomes creative. Creative is submarine code for desperate. Pancakes made from ground-up crackers. Soup that is mostly hot water with a memory of vegetables. Coffee grounds reused until they produce brown water out of sheer intimidation. The freezer, when it works, holds meat that may have been frozen since Noah's Ark. Cookie thaws it, searches for the least green parts, cooks it until it becomes leather, and covers it in gravy thick enough to spackle walls. You eat it because the alternative is worse. Food poisoning is constant. Everyone has the runs. The head situation, already precarious, becomes a war zone. Fresh fruit disappears first, and vegetables, and anything with nutritional value. Scurvy makes a comeback. Gums bleed. Teeth loosen. The pharmacist's mate hands out vitamin pills that taste like chalk and work just as well. Your body begins to eat itself, one vitamin deficiency at a time. Cookie performs miracles with Spam. Fried Spam, baked Spam, Spam surprise, The surprise is that it is just spam. Spam pretending to be meatloaf. Spam hash. Spam until the word loses meaning, and you forget meat came from animals and not rectangular cans. For birthdays, Cookie might bake a cake, flour, powdered eggs, condensed milk, and hope. It comes out flat, dense, tasting of diesel and defeat. Everyone sings. The birthday boy smiles, eats his slice, and pretends it is not the worst thing he has ever tasted. Morale matters more than truth. The boat's favorite meal is shooters. When you sink an enemy ship, Cookie brings out the good stuff. Steaks hoarded for special occasions. Maybe ice cream from a secret stash. You feast like kings while above. Enemy sailors swim in oil-slicked water. The irony is not lost on anyone. No one mentions it. Underway replenishment is supposed to help. Another sub or tender transfers supplies. In reality, it is risking 2 boats for canned beans and powdered eggs. The fresh food, if any, goes to the officers. You get what does not fit in their pantry. Usually more spam. By patrol's end, you are down to emergency rations. Hardtack from World War I canned goods so old, the labels are gone. Cookie scrapes green fuzz off something that might once have been bread, boils it, calls it pudding. You eat it because your body needs calories, and your standards died in week 4. The final week, Cookie stops pretending. Meals become, here is a can, heat it if you can. The stove, overwhelmed, works when it feels like it. Cold beans from the can become a delicacy. At least they are honest. Your body shows the toll. 30 pounds lighter. Skin pale as paper. Gums bleeding. Energy gone. You move like old men, conserving what little you have left. The smell of cooking rancid grease, burnt spam, diesel steam permeates everything. It mixes with the boat as other aromas to create a stench that would shame a garbage barge. You do not notice anymore. Your nose gave up weeks ago, along with your taste and your will to care. Finally, mercifully, patrol ends. The boat surfaces. Cookie uses the last of everything for one final meal. It is awful. Everyone agrees it is the best meal they have ever had, because it is the last one. Tomorrow, real food, fresh vegetables, meat that has not seen the Jurassic. You dock. Fresh food is loaded aboard for the next patrol. You watch it roll in, knowing exactly what will happen to it. That crisp lettuce will be slime. That bread will be green. That meat will turn strange colors. The cycle will begin again. But for now, you step onto the dock, blinking in sunlight, dreaming of food that does not taste like diesel. Real food. Food like your mother made. Food that will not kill you from the inside. The first meal ashore? Everyone heads to the same greasy diner, orders everything, eats until they're sick. Because even the worst diner food is ambrosia after 2 months of Cookie's cooking. You will complain about food for the rest of your life. Nothing will ever be as bad as submarine food. Nothing could be. But also, strangely, you will miss it. Miss Cookie's terrible coffee. Miss the camaraderie of shared suffering. Miss the way hunger made even spam taste acceptable. That is the submarine service. Where the food is terrible, but it is your terrible food. Where Cookie is a war criminal, but he is your war criminal. Where every meal is a battle between starvation and food poisoning. And sometimes, food poisoning wins. Bon appetit, sailor. I hope you like spam. You had better. It is all we have got. The salt helps mask other flavors. Coffee is religion. Cookie brews it strong enough to patch whole breaches. It tastes like battery acid filtered through a junsock, but it is hot, caffeinated, and covers up everything else. Men will fight over the last cup. Actual fights. 2 torpedomen received write-ups for a coffee-related brawl that left both men bloody and neither caffeinated. Mealtimes run in shifts. Officers eat first, sitting down like civilized human beings. Chiefs follow. Then the rest of us animals crowd in, eating while standing, shoveling food down before the next shift boots you out. 20 minutes maximum. Conversation is limited to, pass the salt, and what is this? The answer to the second question is always, shut up and eat it. The diesel fuel contamination is inescapable. Everything tastes of it. The boat's fuel tanks wrap around the hull, and diesel permeates through steel into the food stores, into your skin, into your soul. That canned peach? Diesel peach. That powdered milk? Diesel cream. Your taste buds adapt or die. Most choose deaf. By week 5, even canned goods run low. Cookie becomes creative. Creative is submarine code for desperate. Pancakes made from ground-up crackers. Soup that is essentially hot water with memories of vegetables. Coffee grounds reused until they produce brown water through sheer intimidation. The freezer, when it works, holds meat frozen since the days of Noah. Cookie thaws it, searches for the least green portions, and cooks it until it is leather. Covers it in gravy thick enough to spackle bulkheads. You eat it because the alternative is starvation. Food poisoning is constant. Everyone has the runs. The head situation, already precarious, becomes a war zone. Fresh fruit disappears first, followed by vegetables, then anything resembling nutrition. Scurvy makes a comeback. Gums bleed, teeth loosen. The pharmacist's mate distributes vitamin pills that taste like chalk and work about as well. Your body begins eating itself, slowly, politely, one vitamin deficiency at a time. Cookie performs miracles with Spam. Fried Spam, baked Spam, Spam surprise. The surprise is that it is just Spam. Spam pretending to be meatloaf. Spam hash. Spam, 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 until the word loses meaning and you forget meat ever came from animals instead of rectangular cans. On birthdays, Cookie might bake a cake. Flour, powdered eggs, condensed milk, and hope. It comes out flat, dense, and tastes of diesel and defeat. Everyone sings happy birthday. The birthday boy smiles, eats his slice, and pretends it is not the worst thing he has ever tasted. Morale matters more than honesty. The boat's favorite meal is shooters. When you sink an enemy ship, Cookie breaks out the good stuff. Steaks hoarded for special occasions. Perhaps even ice cream from some secret stash. You feast like kings while somewhere above, enemy sailors swim in oil-slicked water. The irony is not lost on anyone. Nobody mentions it. Underway replenishment is supposed to help. Another sub or tender transfer supplies. In reality, it means risking 2 boats for canned beans and powdered eggs. Any fresh food goes to the officers. You receive whatever did not fit in their pantry. Usually more Spam. Always more Spam. By the end of patrol, you are down to emergency rations. Hardtack from the First World War. Canned goods so old, the labels have decomposed. Cookie scrapes green fuzz off something that might once have been bread, boils it, and calls it pudding. You eat it because your body needs calories, and your standards died around week 4. In the final week, even Cookie stops pretending. Meals become, here is some canned food, heat it yourself. The galley stove, overwhelmed by 2 months of abuse, only works when it feels like it. Cold beans from a can become a delicacy. At least they are honest about what they are. Your body shows the toll of nutritional neglect. 30 pounds lighter, skin pale as paper, gums bleeding, energy gone. You move like an old man, conserving calories you do not possess. The simplest tasks drain you, but food is fuel, and the boat needs you functional. So you choke down whatever Cookie serves and pretend it is not killing you slowly. The smell of cooking, such as it is, permeates everything. Rancid grease, burnt Spam, diesel-flavored steam. It mingles with the boat as other aromas to create a bouquet that would make a garbage dump jealous. You no longer notice. Your nose surrendered weeks ago, along with your taste buds, and your will to live. Finally, mercifully, patrol ends. The boat surfaces for the last time and heads home. Cookie uses up everything that remains, creating one final meal from the dregs. It is awful. Everyone agrees it is the best meal they have ever had, because it is the last. Tomorrow, fresh food, real vegetables, meat that has not seen the Jurassic. You dock. The fresh food comes aboard for the next patrol. You watch it being loaded, knowing exactly how it will deteriorate. Those crisp vegetables will become slime. That bread will turn green. That meat will change colors. The cycle continues. But for now, you stumble onto the dock, blinking in the sunlight, dreaming of food that does not taste like diesel. Real food, food from home. Food that will not kill you slowly from within. First meal ashore, everyone goes to the same greasy diner, orders everything, and eats until they are sick. Because even the worst diner food is ambrosia after 2 months of Cookie's diesel cuisine. You will complain about food for the rest of your life. Nothing will ever be as bad as Submarine food. Nothing could be. But somehow, you will miss it. Miss Cookie's terrible coffee. Miss the camaraderie born of shared suffering. Miss how hunger made even Spam taste acceptable. That is the Submarine service, where the food is terrible, but it is your terrible food. Where Cookie is a culinary war criminal, but he is your culinary war criminal. Where every meal is a battle between starvation and food poisoning. And sometimes food poisoning wins. Bon appetit, sailor. Hope you enjoy Spam? You had better. It is all we have. Today you stand the midnight to 0400. Tomorrow it is 400 to 0800. Your circadian rhythm does not just get confused. It files for divorce and leaves. Day and night, these words have no meaning in fluorescent eternity. You sleep when allowed, stay awake when ordered, and exist in a twilight state between both. The exhaustion hallucinations begin around week 3. Shadows move in your peripheral vision. Gauges display impossible readings. You hear voices in the engine noise. Sometimes singing, sometimes screaming. Always just out of comprehension. The boat begins to speak, whispering secrets only you can hear. You nod and log the readings, because arguing with hallucinations wastes energy. Coffee becomes your bloodstream. You do not drink it. You absorb it. Black as reactor shielding, strong enough to wake the dead. It does not wake you. Nothing wakes you anymore. You drift in a realm beyond tiredness, where exhaustion loops back into a kind of manic functionality. You are not awake. You are simply vertically unconscious. Standing watch in this condition is like Russian roulette. The engine telegraph blurs. Was that a head full or head 1/3? The depth gauge dances. Are we at 200 feet or 300? You shake your head, slap your own face. Lives depend on your focus. And your focus left somewhere around hour 60 of consciousness. The chiefs understand everyone is zombified. They prowl the boat, checking on watch standers. Finding someone asleep on watch is a court-martial offense. In practice, it results in a kick in the ribs and extra duty. Everyone has done it. Everyone will do it again. The real hero of the boat is whoever invented the dead man's switch. Fall asleep, and alarms wake the whole boat. It is embarrassing, but preferable to diving past crush depth because someone nodded off. You develop sleeping superpowers. You fall asleep standing up, sitting on the toilet, mid-conversation, mid-chew. Your body seizes any opportunity, any position, any surface. That banging in the engine room that once kept new guys awake, now it is your lullaby. Depth charges in the distance, white noise. And the dreams, when they come, are vivid and wrong. You are home, but the house is underwater. You are in your bunk, but it is on fire. You are standing watch, but the gauges show skulls and crossbones. You wake unsure which reality is real, The boat or the dream? Both feel equally impossible. Personal hygiene becomes one of sleep's first sacrifices. To shave is 5 minutes of lost sleep. To brush teeth, another 3. You do just enough to avoid disease and court-martial. Everything else is negotiable. You smell like an engine room trash fire. Everyone does. Join the club. Meetings are not held. They would require consciousness. Some guys break completely. Rodriguez begins sleepwalking, attempting to open hatches at depth. They find him wrestling with the Christmas tree, the valve manifold at 030. Oh, his eyes are open, but nobody is home. Doc straps him down and sedates him. He sleeps 18 hours straight. Everyone envies him. The officers pretend they are immune. They have staterooms small, coffin-sized, but private. They stand shorter watches and get more sleep. Even they stumble like drunks by week 4. The captain naps in his chair, claiming he is just resting his eyes. The XO falls asleep during briefings. Nobody mentions it. Glass houses and all that. You learn to sleep work. Your body goes through the motions while your brain detaches. You stand entire watches and have no memory of them. The logs show your handwriting, your numbers. You must have been there. But those 4 hours are gone deleted. Your body on autopilot while your mind clutched at any fragment of rest. The worst is battle stations at night. 1 second, you are dead asleep. The next, you are in combat. Adrenaline floods your body, everything sharp and blinding. You operate at peak alertness, every sense straining. Then it ends. The adrenaline crashes. You are more exhausted than before, shaking, drained, and expected to return to sleep as if nothing happened. Your body laughs at the concept. By patrol's end, you are something less than human. A semi-conscious maritime creature, fueled by caffeine and bitterness. You cannot remember what real sleep feels like. That first night ashore in a real bed, you cannot sleep. It is too quiet, too still, too much space. You curl up on the floor, wrapped in a blanket, rocking yourself with imaginary wave motion. It takes weeks to recover, to recall what it feels like to sleep for 8 hours without interruption, to dream soft, unhurried dreams, to wake naturally instead of to alarms and shouting, just in time to go back out again. This is submarine sleep, where 4 hours is a luxury, where exhaustion is the norm, where hallucinations from sleep deprivation are considered standard watch phenomena, where grown men cry from tiredness but cannot spare the energy for tears, still believe you could handle it. You are already seeing double. And we have not even discussed what happens during a real emergency, when you have been awake for 72 hours straight. But do not worry about that now. Get some sleep. You have got watch in 3 hours and 47 minutes, if you are lucky. Never thought you would need upper body strength to defecate, did you? Step 9. Open hole valve B while maintaining pressure. This is the moment of truth. You are creating a higher pressure inside the bowl than the ocean outside. Get it wrong, and Neptune himself reaches up through the pipes to slap you. Step 10. Continue pumping until contents clear. The sound is indescribable, like a giant drinking a thick milkshake through a steel straw. Everyone in 3 compartments knows exactly what you are doing. Step 11. Close all valves in reverse order. Miss one, and you have created a time bomb for the next user. Or worse, a slow leak that nobody notices until everyone is breathing water. Congratulations, you have successfully used the toilet. It only took 10 minutes, an engineering degree, and years off your life from stress. The guy waiting outside is doing the pee-pee dance of desperation. His problem now, but wait, it gets worse. Sometimes the system backs up, not like your home toilet backs up. This backs up with the force of the ocean behind it. The eruption is volcanic. The cleanup is everybody's problem. The smell rewrites your understanding of human suffering. Night soil operations are special hell. Night soil is the delicate term for pumping out the sanitary tanks. This has to be done at night on the surface, because it leaves a trail that enemy ships can follow. A trail that says a submarine was here. Please drop depth charges. So the boat surfaces, pumps out everyone's accumulated waste, and dies before dawn. The ocean behind looks like 80 men just flushed. But the real fun is chlorine gas. The batteries below contain acid. Mix that with certain other substances, use your imagination, and you get chlorine gas. The same stuff they used in World War I trenches. Now it is in your submarine, because someone did not flush properly, and waste leaked into the battery compartment. Everyone's eyes water, throats close, gas masks come out all, because someone could not follow the 11 steps. The constipation epidemic is real. Guys go days, sometimes a week, without using the head. Not from lack of need, but from fear. Fear of the procedure. Fear of screwing up. Fear of being the guy who sank the boat with his ass. The doc hands out laxatives. Nobody takes them. Better to suffer than risk the procedure under pressure. Emergencies do not wait for bathroom breaks. Crash dive with your pants around your ankles. You waddle to your battle station like a penguin, trying to maintain dignity while securing valves. The boat is at 45 degrees. You slide down the deck, pants at half-mast, and officers screaming about proper uniform. Welcome to submarine warfare. The bucket system is the backup. 5-gallon buckets with lids. When the toilets break, not if, when these become your new best friends. Fill it, seal it, store it wherever it fits that corner behind the torpedoes. Bucket storage, that space under the chart table. Bucket City. The smell permeates everything. Your clothes, your food, your dreams. Privacy is a joke. The head door is tissue thin, if it exists at all. Every sound carries. Every event is public knowledge. You learn things about your crewmates you never wanted to know, their schedules, their struggles, their desperate prayers to whatever God oversees submarine bowel movements. The officers have their own head. 1 toilet for 8 officers. Luxury except when it breaks and they have to use enlisted facilities. Nothing brings officers and enlisted together like shared bathroom misery. The captain struggling with valve procedures like a common seaman almost makes it worth it. By patrol's end, everyone is an expert. You can run the toilet procedure in your sleep literally. Guys dream about valve sequences. But that expertise comes at a cost. You will never look at a normal toilet the same way. That simple flush mechanism magic. Pure magic that does not require 11 steps or risk analysis. Some boats lose men to toilet disasters. Not joking. A valve fails at depth. Water shoots in like a horizontal waterfall. A compartment floods before damage control can respond. He died in the head is not a euphemism. It is submarine reality. Imagine explaining that to the family. Your son died bravely in the bathroom. Post-patrol medical checks always include digestive issues. Every man constipated, dehydrated, suffering from self-imposed bathroom trauma. The doc shakes his head, prescribes fiber, but knows nobody will take it. You cannot risk good digestion when bad digestion keeps you away from the toilet valves. This is submarine life, where answering nature's call requires an engineering degree, where toilets are more complex than torpedoes, where grown men develop bathroom anxiety that would make Freud rich, where I need to use the head is followed by 20 minutes of valve manipulation and prayer. Still think you could handle it? Your bladders are already screaming. And we have not even covered what happens when the system fails completely during a depth charge attack. But first, check the depth gauge. Always check the depth gauge. Your life depends on it. The last time you saw the sun was 47 days ago. You remember because you marked it on the calendar back when days still meant something. Now you exist in eternal fluorescent twilight. Your skin the color of fish belly. your eyes forgetting what natural light looks like. Vitamin D deficiency is no longer just a medical term. It is your personality. The doc tries to explain what is happening. Your bones are softening. Your immune system is failing. Your mood is well. Everyone's mood is somewhere between murder and suicide, with brief stops at hysterical laughter. He hands out vitamin supplements that taste like chalk and work about as well. The fluorescent lights never turn off. Never. They buzz constantly, a high-pitched whine that burrows into your brain. Some bulbs flicker, creating a strobe effect that triggers headaches. You would fix them, but that requires turning them off. And darkness on a submarine is not empty. It is solid, pressing, filled with all the ways you could die. Your circadian rhythm gave up around day 10. Your body has no idea when to sleep, when to wake, when to feel human. You exist in a temporal fog where 0300 feels identical to 1500. The watch schedule helps. It is whatever time your watch says, but your biology rebels. You are tired when you should be alert, wide awake when allowed to sleep. The pallor starts gradually. First, you lose your tan. Then you pass through normal pallor into something new, submarine pale. It is not just white, it is translucent. You can see veins through skin. Everyone looks like cave creatures, which technically you are cave creatures who smell like diesel and despair. Dreams of sunlight become vivid, almost hallucinogenic. You dream in technicolor about beaches, parks, anywhere with sky. You wake to gray steel, grayish-white faces, and gray food on gray plates. The absence of color is physical, oppressive. Someone brought playing cards with red backs. Everyone stares at them like art. The psychological effects compound daily. Irritability escalates to rage over nothing. Two men get in a fist fight over whether it is Tuesday or Wednesday. Neither is right, it is Friday. But dates mean nothing when every day is identical. The captain posts the date daily. Nobody believes him. Time is what the watch schedule says, nothing more. Your eyes forget how to focus long distance. Everything on a submarine is within arm's reach. Your vision adapts. Muscles atrophy. When you finally surface, the horizon hurts. Your eyes water trying to focus on clouds. Infinity is painful after 2 months of walls. Some guys crack completely. They start talking about the sun like a lost lover, drawing sunrises on any available surface. Peterson keeps a photo of a sunset in his pocket, pulls it out to stare at like pornography. You understand? That orange ball in the blue sky seems like mythology now. The lack of shadows is unsettling. Shadows give dimension, depth, reality. Under fluorescent light, everything is flat, shadowless, unreal. You exist in a two-dimensional world where nothing has weight or substance. Your own body feels fake, like you're piloting a meat puppet through a steel maze. Seasonal affective disorder is just called submarine service. Everyone has it. The doc notes increased requests for sleeping pills. Denied. They need you alert. Stimulants coffee is your stimulant sailor. And anything to make the gray go away. He prescribes vitamin D and sympathy. Both are in short supply. The first time you surface after a long patrol is religious. That hatch opens and natural light pours down like God's own spotlight. It hurts. Physically hurts. Your eyes water, squint, refuse to process this much brightness. But you force them open because this is sun. Actual fusion-powered, life-giving sun. You climb up to the bridge. Mole people emerging from the underworld. The sky is impossibly blue. Clouds are miracles. That burning sensation on your skin, it's called warmth, and you'd forgotten it existed. Everyone stands there, faces turned up like sunflowers, soaking in radiation that surface people take for granted. But here's the cruel joke. You can't stay up long. Submarines are vulnerable on the surface. Aircraft, other ships, even weather can kill you up here. So after an hour, maybe 2. Back down you go back to the fluorescent cave. The hatch closes. Another metal lid on another metal coffin. And the sun becomes memory again. The vitamin D shots help a little. Emphasis on little. It's like describing water to a drowning man. Your body needs actual sunlight, not injectable substitutes. Your bones ache. Your teeth feel loose. Hair falls out in clumps. Everyone looks like extras from a horror movie about underground cannibals. Night watches on the surface are bittersweet. You can see stars, actual stars, but no sun. The moon is a poor substitute, but you'll take it. That silver light on water is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, until dawn approaches and you have to dive again, running from the very thing your body craves. Some boats experiment with sun lamps, special bulbs that supposedly mimic natural light. They don't. They're just different fluorescents that make everyone look jaundiced instead of dead. The crew calls them depression bulbs and uses them for unauthorized tanning sessions that result in bizarre stripe patterns and radiation burns. The old-timers adapt better. Or maybe they just died inside long ago. They move through the boat like ghosts, pale and efficient, no longer needing what they'll never have. You wonder if you'll become that. If your skin will forget it was ever meant to see sun. If your eyes will permanently adjust to flat gray artificial existence. Letters from home mention weather you can't comprehend. It's sunny here. Sunny. The word has no meaning. You remember sunny like you remember childhood, distant, impossible, probably imagined. They might as well write, it's purple here, for all the sense it makes. The return to port is jarring. That first full day in actual sunlight hurts everywhere. Sunburn in minutes, sir, because your skin has forgotten how to process UV. Headaches from squinting. Disorientation from shadows that move as the day progresses. You're a vampire forced into daylight, wondering why you ever missed this burning ball of pain. But you adapt, sort of. Skin remembers how to tan. Eyes remember distance. Circadian rhythm staggers back online. You start to feel human again. Just in time for the next patrol. 2 more months without sunlight. 2 more months of fluorescent purgatory. 2 more months of watching your body forget what species it's supposed to be. The submarine service, where men go under the sea and come back as something else. Still think you'd make it? You're already vitamin D deficient just from reading about it. Your skin is paler. Your mood is darker. And we haven't even covered what happens when the electrical system fails and you experience true darkness, the kind that makes you grateful for any light, even the soul-sucking fluorescence. But don't worry about that now. Just enjoy whatever light you have while you still can, while you still remember what it's for. Peterson keeps a photo of a sunset in his pocket, pulls it out to stare at like pornography. You understand? That orange ball in the blue sky seems like mythology now. The lack of shadows is unsettling. Shadows give dimension, depth, reality. Under fluorescent light, everything is flat, shadowless, unreal. You exist in a 2-dimensional world where nothing has weight or substance. Your own body feels fake, like you're piloting a meat puppet through a steel maze. Seasonal affective disorder is just called submarine service. Everyone has it. The doc notes increased requests for sleeping pills. Denied you need to stay alert. Stimulants coffee is your stimulant, sailor, and anything to make the gray go away. He prescribes vitamin D and sympathy. Both are in short supply. The first time you surface after a long patrol is religious. That hatch opens and natural light pours down like God's own spotlight. It hurts, physically hurts. Your eyes water, squint, refuse to process this much brightness. But you force them open because this is sun-actual fusion-powered, life-giving sun. You climb up to the bridge. Mole people emerging from the underworld. The sky is impossibly blue. Clouds are miracles. That burning sensation on your skin, that's called warmth. And you'd forgotten it existed. Everyone stands there, faces turned up like sunflowers, soaking in radiation that surface people take for granted. But here's the cruel joke. You can't stay up long. Submarines are vulnerable on the surface. Aircraft, other ships, even weather can kill you up here. So after an hour, maybe two, back down you go back to the fluorescent cave. The hatch closes. Another metal lid on another metal coffin. And the sun becomes memory again. The vitamin D shots help a little. Emphasis on little. It's like describing water to a drowning man. Your body needs actual sunlight, not injectable substitutes. Your bones ache. Your teeth feel loose. Hair falls out in clumps. Everyone looks like extras from a horror movie about underground cannibals. Night watches on the surface are bittersweet. You can see stars, actual stars, but no sun. The moon is a poor substitute, but you'll take it. That silver light on water is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Until dawn approaches and you have to dive again, running from the very thing your body craves. Some boats experiment with sun lamps, special bulbs that supposedly mimic natural light. They don't. They're just different fluorescents that make everyone look jaundiced instead of dead. The crew calls them depression bulbs and uses them for unauthorized tanning sessions that result in bizarre stripe patterns and radiation burns. The old-timers adapt better. Or maybe they just died inside long ago. They move through the boat like ghosts, pale and efficient, no longer needing what they'll never have. You wonder if you'll become that. If your skin will forget it was ever meant to see sun. If your eyes will permanently adjust to flat, gray, artificial existence. Letters from home mention weather you can't comprehend. It's sunny here. Sunny. The word has no meaning. You remember sunny, like you remember childhood distant, impossible, probably imagined. They might as well write, it's purple here, for all the sense it makes. The return to port is jarring. That first full day in actual sunlight hurts everywhere. Sunburn in minutes because your skin has forgotten how to process UV. Headaches from squinting. Disorientation from shadows that move as the day progresses. You're a vampire forced into daylight, wondering why you ever missed this burning ball of pain. But you adapt, sort of. Skin remembers how to tan. Eyes remember distance. Circadian rhythm staggers back online. You start to feel human again. Just in time for the next patrol. 2 more months without sunlight. 2 more months of fluorescent purgatory. 2 more months of watching your body forget what species it's supposed to be. The submarine service, where men go under the sea and come back as something else. Still think you'd make it? You're already vitamin D deficient just from reading about it. Your skin is paler. Your mood is darker. And we haven't even covered what happens when the electrical system fails and you experience true darkness, the kind that makes you grateful for any light, even the soul-sucking fluorescence. But don't worry about that now. Just enjoy whatever light you have while you still can, while you still remember what it's for. Battle stations, surface action, starboard side, the words you've drilled for, but hoped never to hear. It's 0300. You're on the surface charging batteries, vulnerable as a newborn. The lookout spotted a destroyer before it spotted you. Maybe, hopefully, the diving alarm screams. You're running. Always running to your station. This time it's for real. The boat tilts forward at that sickening angle. You're diving, but slowly, too slowly. Those batteries you're charging make you heavy, sluggish. The destroyer has radar, speed, guns. You have hope and a hull that might hold together. The math isn't encouraging. 60 feet periscope depth. The captain's gambling. Stay shallow. Keep the periscope up. Maybe get a shot off before they find you. The periscope is a metal finger sticking up saying, submarine here. But it's also your only eyes. Blind or visible, choose your death. Through the periscope, the captain sees what's hunting you. Japanese destroyer, Fubuki class. Fast mean carrying enough depth charges to turn you into fish food. It's turning toward you. They've seen the periscope, or the phosphorescent wake, or maybe just got lucky. Doesn't matter. They're coming down scope. Take a deep breath. All ahead full. Now it's a race. Can you get deep enough before their depth charges arrive? The boat groans as she accelerates downward. 100 feet, 150, 200. Not deep enough. Never deep enough. But it's what you've got. The destroyer's screws are audible now. Twin props churning water, getting louder. The sound operator is pale. Headphones pressed tight. High-speed screws getting louder. Bearing constant. Translation. They're coming straight at us. Rig for depth charge. Rig for depth charge. You've done this drill 100 times. Now it's real. Secure all loose gear. Remove light bulbs. Dog all watertight doors. Check damage control equipment. Pray to whatever God handles underwater explosions. The boat becomes a tomb prepared for its own funeral. The screws pass overhead for a moment. Silence, and then splash, 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 splash. 4 depth charges hit the water. You count seconds. Distance equals time times 550 feet per second in water. Math becomes very personal when it calculates your depth. 1. Mississippi. 2. Mississippi. 3. Wham! The first one's not close. Close enough to wring your teeth, but not close enough to kill. The boat lurches sideways. Cork insulation rains down. Something breaks expensive, but you're alive. That's one. Wham! Wham! Closer. The boat rolls violently. You're airborne for a moment, then slammed into the deck. The lights flicker, die. Emergency power kicks in. Red light now because apparently normal terror needs mood lighting. Water sprays from a dozen new leaks. Nothing major yet. Wham! Too close. The boat whips like a snake. A pipe breaks, spraying high-pressure water. Damage control attacks it with wooden wedges, mattresses, anything. The hull makes sounds it shouldn't, creaking. Cracking like ice breaking, but holding, barely holding. All ahead flank, right full rudder. The captain's maneuvering, trying to throw off their targeting. The boat heels over. Equipment slides, men slide. Dignity abandoned. The destroyer screws fade and grow louder, coming around for another run. How many depth charges do they carry? How many can you take? Nobody wants to find that math. Silent running rigs for silent running. Everything shuts down. Motors to dead slow. All machinery secured. 80 men trying not to exist. The destroyer's hydrophones are listening for any sound drop wrench, a cough, a prayer said too loud. Anything could give you away. You breathe shallow. Move carefully. Exist as quietly as death. The air goes bad fast. CO builds up. The boat's getting deeper. Pressure squeezing. Temperature rising. Sweat pours off everyone, but nobody moves to wipe it. Movement makes noise. Noise brings death. So you sit in your own puddle and wait. Ping. Active sonar. They're hunting with sound now. The ping goes through you like a physical force. Ping. Closer. They're bracketing, narrowing down your location. Ping. You feel naked, exposed, like they can see through the hull. More splashes, more counting, more explosions. The boat dances and shudders. A battery cracks. Chlorine gas starts building. You can't surface to ventilate. Can't run the blowers. Can't do anything but absorb punishment and hope your boat's tougher than their explosives. Hours pass or minutes. Time doesn't work right during depth charging. The destroyer makes pass after pass. Your beard grows between explosions. You age years and seconds. The boat accumulates wounds, leaks, cracks, broken systems, but she holds. Somehow she holds. Finally, the screws fade. Actually fade. The destroyer's either out of depth charges or patience. Maybe another target called them away. Maybe they think you're dead. You wait another hour to be sure. An hour of 80 men breathing poison air, sitting in puddles of sweat and fear, listening for the return of death. Nothing. The ocean is quiet except for your boat crying in pain from her wounds. Secure from silent running. Damage reports. The reports are bad, but not fatal. A dozen major leaks. Port motor bearing damaged. Radio antenna gone. Periscope won't raise. Battery compartment full of chlorine gas. But you're alive. The boat's alive. That's victory enough. You surface at night to ventilate and assess. The ocean that tried to crush you now supports you. Fresh air tastes like resurrection. The damage control parties work miracles with spare parts and profanity. By dawn, you're diving again. Wounded but functional, ready for the next round of hide and seek. But combat isn't always defensive. Sometimes you hunt. Sound contacts bearing 320. Sounds like merchant traffic. The captain raises the periscope. In the distance, smoke a convoy. Fat merchant ships full of supplies for Japanese islands and escorts. At least 2 destroyers. The math begins. Distance, speed, angle. Can you get into position? Can you attack without dying? The slide rule says maybe. Battle stations. Torpedo. Different energy. Now you're the predator. The forward torpedo room becomes organized chaos. 6 tubes loaded. Fish torpedoes checked and double-checked. These mechanical sharks cost more than you'll make in a lifetime. Missing wastes money. Worse, it tells the enemy exactly where you are. The approach takes hours. Creeping at periscope depth, taking observations, calculating. The convoy zigzags, a standard anti-submarine tactic. You plot their pattern, anticipate their next turn. The captain's eyes glued to the periscope, calling observations. The EXO works the targeting computer, a mechanical marvel that usually works. Final bearing and shoot. Bearing mark. Range mark. Fire one. The boat shudders as 3,000 pounds of torpedo launches. Compressed air shoves it out. Its motor starts, and it's running hot, straight, and normal. Hopefully. Torpedoes have personalities. Some run true. Some circle back to kill you. Some dive for the bottom, or broach the surface. You've fired a very expensive prayer. Fire 2. Fire 3. Standard spread. Multiple fish at slightly different angles. Increases hit probability. The captain watches through the periscope, counting down. Time to target. 2 minutes. 2 minutes to know if you're successful, or if you've just announced your location to very angry destroyers. Hit, hit. Explosions in the distance. The merchant ship breaks in half, going down fast. Success. But now comes the hard part. Those destroyers are turning toward you, and they're mad. Time to run. Take a deep breath. All ahead flank. The dance begins again, but this time, they know exactly where you started. The first depth charges arrive quickly. Your victory celebration lasts exactly as long as it takes for the ocean to start trying to crush you again. The merchant's cargo might be heading for the bottom, but so might you. This is submarine combat, alternating between predator and prey, hunter and hunted. You stalk convoys, sink ships, disrupt supply lines. They hunt you with everything they have. The ocean doesn't care who wins. It hates everyone equally. Night surface attacks are special terror. You surface in darkness, using diesel speeds to get ahead of a convoy. Attack on the surface with deck guns or torpedoes, then crash dive before escorts find you. It's like knife fighting in a dark room, where the floor might disappear. The deck gun crews are insane. Picture this, you're on a submarine's deck. At night, waves washing over, trying to aim a gun at ships that are shooting back. One wave washes you overboard, and you're gone. The boat can't stop to look for you. But the gun crews volunteer anyway, because sinking ships matters more than personal safety. Sometimes you miss. Torpedoes pass ahead, behind, underneath. The convoy scatters. Escorts charge. You dive and run, having achieved nothing but announcing your presence. The fish you fired cost $10,000 each. You just threw $60,000 into the ocean for nothing. The captain writes it up. Crew morale drops, and you slink away to try again. Sometimes the torpedoes malfunction. Run too deep, passing harmlessly under targets. Explode prematurely, telling everyone where you are. Refuse to explode even on impact, bouncing off holes like very expensive pool cues. The torpedo officers tear their hair out, adjusting, readjusting, praying to the gods of mechanical reliability. The worst is when you sink a ship and survivors are in the water. Hundreds of men floating, burning, drowning. You can't rescue them. No room. Their friends are trying to kill you. You watch through the periscope as they struggle and die. Some wave at you, some curse. Most just float. The captain logs the sinking and moves on. War doesn't allow humanitarian gestures. Counter-detection gear evolves constantly. They get radar. You get radar detectors. They get better sonar. You get sound-absorbing coatings. It's a technology race where second place means death. The boat bristles with antennas, sensors, countermeasures. None of it guarantees survival. It just changes the odds from certain death to probable death. The acoustic torpedo is nightmare fuel a torpedo that homes in on sound.